走一場談深入時事話題，今日為大家請到嘅來賓呢係 Johal， 大家可能好多人都對佢好熟悉㗎啦。佢係 Global TV 嘅名記者，亦都係駐北京駐新德里嘅亞洲特派員。今次佢嘅角色唔同啦，佢今次咧嚟係佢係 Richmond-Queensborough 嘅候選人，係今次參加代表自由黨參加省選嘅一位候選人。佢中文名叫做周豪傑，英文名咧就係我頭先講嘅 Johal。Welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me. Looking forward to our chat.
Now, usually you are sitting here,
Yes, I am.
and the politicians are sitting there,
Yes.
and you always ask tough questions.
Yes, so be gentle. Be gentle.
I'm just following your steps. I'm just going to.
It's a different seat sitting on this side.
Yeah.
It really
so
is.
usually you hold people accountable, and now you are jumping into a profession or campaigning to join a profession where everyone literally is holding you accountable. Are you ready for that change of role?
I hope so. I hope so. One can never be 100%, but I certainly know the role is different. What you are doing on your side is trying to hold me accountable. My job is to make sure I deliver for constituents if elected, and then at the same time move government forward in regards to policies that they want to see move forward, particularly around healthcare and education. But government is a challenge. It always is going to be a challenge in regards to managing such a diverse province. You have 4.5 million people, 60% that live within Vancouver, but 40% dispersed throughout our province and Vancouver Island. On top of that, you have a real tectonic shift in the rise of Asia and how globally the economy is changing as well. So you have to at the same time preserve what we have here, and at least shift the economy and make sure we're connected and building that connectivity to Asia so we are able to maintain what we have here. So there's a tremendous amount of challenges locally and internationally. But if you can do it right, we're able to do things that I think hopefully will guarantee that we continue with this lifestyle that we have, the standard of living that we have in the generations to come. Because I think it is a very volatile time economically.
Okay, lifestyle. Before I jump into the question that I have prepared, you actually kind of let me think of something that is really important in your writing that you're seeking to represent. Racial tension. It has been getting increasingly racial tension about the lifestyle of different Asian new immigrants. What is your thought on that? Do you think that is serious, or anything that on top of your head you believe that that's something that I can do, I should do once I got into that position?
Well, look, I think Canada is changing and will continue to change. So number one, cultures do not stay static or stagnant. Cultures are always changing. And every new set of immigrants that come in bring in a rich diversity. Now, does that mean that the present culture that we have today is not going to be challenged in some of its thinking, some of its perspectives? Probably. But that's okay. I believe that Canada is a young country. Our culture is flexible, right? But our core values, healthcare, education, we want strong neighborhoods and families, that's not going to change. Are there at times tensions in societies, not just in Canada, the United States, England, and Western society, when you take predominantly what has been European immigrants over the last 100, 150 years, and that has slowly been evolving in the last 30 to 40 years, especially with Asian immigrants. And it'll evolve again. I have an aunt in England who lives in a very much a South Asian riding. Now when I go visit her, it's much more African. And so she is seeing a different wave of people come as well. So she's coping and trying to understand new cultures as well. Have there been tensions and issues? Yes, we can't deny that. You saw the sign issue at one time here in Richmond. There was also that story in the news about strata council meetings at a condo where people were speaking just Mandarin. We have 2 official languages in this country, but we have many unofficial languages. And that's not going to change.
An official language.
Yes, that's right, exactly. And look, 1.3 billion people on this planet speak Mandarin, 800 million speak Hindi, and 500 million speak English. And so we're going to have various languages in this culture. We have 2 official languages. I think at its core, I always remind people of this. I'm an immigrant to this country. I was too. You judge immigrants, I always say, by the second generation, but kids that have grown up here. So mom and dad may speak Mandarin most of the time, or Cantonese, or Punjabi, or Hindi. But their kids will maybe speak a little Chinese and a little English. But by the time you get to that second or third generation, they're predominantly speaking English, and a lot of them will probably speak very much anglicized Chinese. right? I can see that in my own family. My son is 8 years old, born here. His Punjabi is heavily anglicized. And my wife always looks at me, goes, and gives me that look like I'm feeling as an Indian, that I'm not teaching him Punjabi. You're always speaking English at home. I said, well, that's natural.
So you believe that this...
It is temporary, is what I'm saying.
It is temporarily.
And these things will happen. Of course they will. But look, there's third-generation Chinese that probably assume that a new Chinese immigrant should be speaking English right away. But then they forget their own history.
I'm glad that you have that optimism, but we still need to guide and glide it.
But you're doing that. We do it through shows like this. We do it through a general conversation. And I think that's very important. I just have a tremendous amount of faith in Canada and in British Columbia. Our culture is strong, but it is flexible. We're going to do fine.
Let me jump to the next question. Also related to your profession, is that you're, as a journalist, fact-finding, debate or discussion based on facts, or you're trying to dig out the facts. That is one of this is basically your professional ethics.
Yes.
Do you ever think of how you can land this this ethic or this principle to the political arena where really debating based on facts is not acclaimed virtue?
Well, no, but look, if you look at our economy generally, if you look at this society, there are tremendous demands on political leaders by the media and by the public and special interest groups as well. So it's difficult being a politician. I realized that when I was a journalist, when I was questioning politicians, at times, sometimes even chasing them down hallways.
You feel bad for them, right?
I feel bad for them because I think, and I've chased politicians knowing full well that that individual is a good person. He's a good family man, she is a good mother, whatever it may be. They're good people. But the job is tough when you're managing a $50 billion economy. Part of the job of any politician, I believe, and certainly watching them and interviewing them, is being honest with the public in regards to the realities of what's happening. Decisions are never black and white. It's not like an episode of The West Wing or some of these other television shows where you finish, by the end of the hour, you've solved humanity's problems. It doesn't work that way. Solving a problem can take 10 years. Sometimes it can take 6 months.
But you only got a 4-year term.
You only got a 4-year term. But you got to make those decisions that you think are right at this particular moment. And those that you think are going to take 6, 8 months for society to change to get to that point where you say yes, you also have to make the right decision and continue to move the file forward. So each issue is very different. And that's one of the things I think. Look, when you look at healthcare, if somebody doesn't get the service that they want when they get there, and let's say they're stuck in a hallway, that's a real issue. And we have to ask, why is that happening at that particular moment? That's an immediate issue. But we also know that, let's say, if healthcare has to evolve and change, and it's a big system, that's going to take probably 4 or 5 or 10 years. And that changing healthcare is a slow process on the corporate side as well. And then there's immediate concerns, like I said, for healthcare, for education that you have to deal with. So journalism brings a certain, as you say, chasing facts and finding that objectivity and making sure political officials are accountable. On the other side, as a politician, as a political leader, you also have to say, look, this is where I'm going with these particular policies. This is why I think we should move forward. And you do have to sell some of those policies. And then you have to also converse with the public and get their input as well. So it's a much more of a collaborative effort. But along that way, guys like you will be asking me questions all the time. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this now? Where do you hope to get to? So the system works in this country. When I was a journalist, I asked a tough question. Sometimes those questions said, well, this is a tough one. I'm probably, it's tough for the politician to answer that right now, but I'm going to ask it anyway. I think somewhere along the way, where there's a bit of tension, where there's a bit of adversity, where we're both adversaries, democracy occurs. That's the special part.
I think the difference is that I was a politician before, and now I switched table, and now I'm asking those questions.
So you understand
that.
So
a lot of time I became a little bit soft because I kind of understand how the process works. But on the other hand, from you used to ask tough questions, and now you need to. Is it an advantage that you got to prepare yourself based on facts? Know what the people anticipate.
Yeah, I think here's what I think some of the advantages, or at the very least the skill set that I bring. Number one, the ability to communicate in clear, concise way in the 21st century. right? I think too often politicians get stuck in very much PR, government, and corporate speak, and they forget how to speak English. For native-born English speakers, they don't speak English.
Twitter-sized announcement.
Yes, that's the other thing.
That's horrible.
Yes, we've also simplified.
Promise me you won't.
No, you can't.
You won't use Twitter at just 150 words to make major announcements.
No, you can't make major announcements at 140 characters. You can convey very simple concepts, but you need to have these types of conversations to actually get to a point where you understand the broad decision-making process that goes into making a major policy decision. One of the things that I also bring is I've been a journalist here in this province, which means I've traveled the province from one small town to the other small town. British Columbia is more than Vancouver or Richmond, right? It's also Cranbrook, it's Williams Lake, it's Prince Rupert, it's Fort St. John, it's Port Alice, it's Victoria, all those other places. I've been able to travel this province for 2 decades. So you get a sense of what this province really is about beyond just a Vancouver-centric perspective. I grew up in the interior. I bring an immigrant perspective as a child of immigrants and being here when I was 2 years old, getting pulled out of class and struggling with English at a young age. I also, hopefully, I believe, bring an international perspective. As a journalist that has covered and lived in India, South Asia, I've covered India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, been to Afghanistan 7 times covering war zones. I've covered the Arab Spring, Egypt and Libya, knowing what revolutions are like, right? I've been able to cover the front lines of globalization in places like China, with Beijing being home, but in Japan.
How long
and
you
Korea.
stayed in Beijing?
Beijing was 2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
会讲普通话吗？
I see that. I'm going to apologize to you right now. I'll tell you why. I took Mandarin for 4 hours a week. I had a private tutor as part of my contract, and I would get along Beijing, no problem. Do my grocery shopping. I do anything. I get around the city, no problem. I came back and I didn't take it, didn't use it, and now it's just all downhill.
You
So
can't
I
even
promise-
order food now, but at least you can order food in
I
Mandarin
can,
now.
and I know how to say Bukurchi. And you know what my favorite part? Not my favorite part. I found it very hard to eat with a fork when I came back, because I got so used to chopsticks that the fork became so foreign to me when I came. It's just fascinating when you do that, isn't it? But the
Great.
one thing I do,
Yeah.
I will promise is, when elected, I will go back to Chinese classes again, because it is a fascinating language. And I was very proud of my tones, all the 4 tones that you have to use. And I was actually quite good at that. But the language itself, it's all gone down because I haven't used it. Right?
Let's take a break and
Yep.
we'll come back to talk about your international experience. Thank you. 我哋休息一陣，一陣間返嚟。